world is full of strange unknowns. Oddities abound. Secrets and cover-ups are everywhere. Ghosts, spirits, cryptids, and all creatures of the night are waiting to give you a fright. Fear not. Through light and fire we will expose them to the light. Welcome to the Dragon's Nest. Here is your host, Will Lindsay.
Hey everybody out there in podcast land, welcome to the Dragon's Nest. I'm sitting here with the co-host of the hour, Karen Lindsay. Say hello.
Hey everybody.
I also have a couple of guests today from a local paranormal ghost hunting squad in the neighborhood, and they're going to be sitting in with us telling us some of their stories and some of their investigations, and they brought an EVP that we'll play a little later. Samantha and Jarrod, welcome to the show.
How's it going?
Hello.
So, Samantha and Jarrod, tell me a little bit about, what got you started in ghost hunting?
I've always been into it. Just met the right people at the right time, and just knowing that they're into it too.
What about you, Jarrod?
I was never into it before, but meeting her, we both ended up meeting a lot of the friends who were very into it, had the equipment to go out and do so, and yeah, so our adventures began.
So would you consider yourself a skeptic, Jarrod? Or
Yeah, I've always been skeptical about the spiritual side of things, and I'm not so skeptical anymore.
What about you, Samantha?
I've always known there's something else out there. I'm definitely a believer, but I do find skeptic in some things. I always try to keep an open mind about it all.
So when you go into some of these locations, the first thing you do, obviously, if you're a skeptic, Jarrod, I'm sure that when you walk in and you hear the odd sound, you're looking to see if it's a pipe ringing or...
Yeah, what else could it be, possibly? Yeah. And even some of the things that, like, pictures we found, like, sometimes, like, I feel it's necessary to go back and look and see, like, what else could that be? Like, is this their light causing this shadow that isn't there, But,
sure, optical illusions that are calls from lights coming in from windows or somebody walking by.
All the sounds you can hear, like, some people might say it's a ghost, and then other people will just say, well, that just had to be somebody else in the next room.
Mm-hmm.
So prior to ghost hunting, I would take it that you probably never had, if you're being a skeptic, you probably never really had a supernatural experience before. You, Jim?
No, not really. Never had one before in life.
So how about you, Samantha? Would you say you have? Because you said you've always believed there was something out there, or is it more of a faith-based thing where you're just bringing your faith into it, knowing that I believe in God, therefore I believe in spirits, therefore it has to be true, or...
No, I think it's always kind of followed me around. I've always experienced things, even when I was little. I've always had it around me.
Give us an example of something you experienced when you were little, that, prior to ghost hunting.
Just, hearing things, seeing things, being at my grandmother's house, just experiencing just weird...
shadow people, or like sounds, or just mental images, or imaginary friends?
A little bit of all of it.
Really? So maybe you're supposed to be a medium.
Maybe.
Maybe you see the dead and you just don't know it yet.
Maybe.
We also, when Samantha was little, we have multiple pictures of her, being a toddler, being a baby, and there was always some kind of lights in the picture, some kind of flares that couldn't be explained. There was also a lot of, I think that full disclosure, whoever is listening to this and doesn't know, Samantha's my niece, so we've been together our whole lives. But I think we've always just kind of been around paranormal things. Whether it be one of her grandmother's house, the house that I grew up in, that was next to a graveyard that we experienced. Yeah, that we would go out and play in and have multiple encounters. I think that it's just something that's always been around.
I've just been drawn to it.
So what was the first place that, when you got involved with these ghost hunters for the first time, what was the first location?
Was it the Hayeswood Hospital we went to?
No,
that was the first interesting one.
First interesting one. The first place we actually went to was the Twin Tunnels in Damasco.
That one, yeah.
That was actually our first place.
For most people who don't know, I believe it's supposed to be one of the most haunted places in Kentucky. Is that correct?
That's what I've read in articles and stuff, yeah.
And now this is all conjecture because we don't know 100% sure, but supposedly 9 or 10 people died while building the tunnel, which goes through a hill. It's a railroad tunnel. Probably blasted. They probably used dynamite to get through that hill, I'm assuming. And some people didn't quite make it.
And the tunnels themselves are very... There's a feeling to them.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a very ominous, eerie kind of feeling to just be around them or to see the pictures of them. I mean, you definitely get that creepy vibe kind of feeling.
Well, it's actually still an active railroad, too. And as most, ghost hunters would know, the railroad will bring extra energy to it as well. So it does have a creepy vibe. It was neat.
So you both went on this hunt, right?
Yes.
Have you guys only hunted together?
Yes.
Yeah.
So Jarrod, you actually walked furthest into this tunnel because most people were afraid that there's some car was going to come through there very quickly.
Jarrod wanted to be a man. He wanted to get the deepest into the tunnel.
It looks like it's barely wide enough to fit one train, right? That's how you feel when you're in.
Well,
it's a double tunnel, but
if you had a train going through that tunnel, you got about 3 feet between you and the train if you're smushed up against the wall.
So that would be a really really scary experience to have a train.
And it's a double tunnel. You got 2 tunnels there in the same location.
So what did you experience when you went to these tunnels for the first time?
Personally, I didn't I was just, I was like I said, I go in as a skeptic, So I was just like, screw everybody else. I'm going to walk all the way back as far as I can till finally, I hear people hollering for me.
Now, just so that the people who are listening get an understanding of how long this tunnel is, you were very deep into this.
Yeah,
Could you see either side as far in as you were?
No,
light from either side?
I got so far back, I didn't have light with me unless it was my cigarette lighter. And the only way I knew where I was going was by the track itself. And
you never saw daylight?
No, there was no light whatsoever.
So it's over a mile long.
It's over a mile long.
It's a little over a mile long, yeah.
And what did you feel, Samantha, when you were in this tunnel? Obviously, you said, I'm not walking in, and he kept going, so...
I eventually did walk in, and I walked pretty far in. It just a heavy, heavy feeling there. The outside of it, you just felt heavy as well.
Kind of like a hard to breathe
kind
of feeling.
Yeah, it was just very, very, very
there
heavy.
There were pictures taken. We don't have them right now with us, but...
Hopefully they'll get us the pictures, and we'll put those up on our website and our social media sites, and then you'll be able to view them.
Yeah.
So, what kind of equipment did you use at this tunnel?
Well, we had multiple cameras. We had the Ovilus, and we had digital recorders.
Now, for people who don't understand what the Ovilus is, can you give a brief description of what an Ovilus is?
Yeah, it takes electromagnetic energy and turns it into words. It has a word database inside of it. So it'll take the energy and then convert it into the words.
Pretty much like a white noise.
It's a white noise machine, basically.
Yeah.
So did you get anything off this Ovilus?
No, not that time. Most of the evidence we had were the pictures.
Yeah, there was, like I said, I was far back in the tunnel, and I was walking back, and people were taking pictures, and some of the pictures, it looks like there was somebody in overalls walking right beside me as I was coming back through the tunnel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and also we had a picture of legs. Walking across the tunnel,
just the legs,
just
no
the
body,
legs,
just a pair of legs.
The strange part about this picture is that the legs were probably as tall as a person. Oh. They were just kind of just expanded long ways.
Was there a ZZ Top song playing?
It looked like someone on stilts walking across the railroad, but it was just the legs. I don't know But yeah.
So, hearing that you kind of caught something with a guy in overhauls, that kind of sounds like maybe a railroad worker, maybe back in the day. Might have been
Definitely.
Like I said, I'm always
Possible.
skeptic about it. So, like, for me, when I first saw it, it's like, oh, maybe it's just my shadow, like, playing tricks with it. But
Right.
it's, like, right beside me, and it's, like, the same size as me. Like, if... I don't
if
know.
it was a shadow, it'd kind of be stretched out a little more or something.
But you could clearly make out overhauls?
Yeah.
I mean, that you don't usually make out clothing on a picture that's a shadow, so that's kind of something. That says something. So, did anybody have any personal experiences? Because sometimes when you go ghost hunting, you don't really catch any EVPs, you don't really catch pictures or anything, but sometimes you just have personal experiences. Was there any, other than heaviness, was there any personal experiences?
I had a personal experience, and unfortunately no one else saw it with me, so it's just me alone on this, but this is when I walked about, I'd say maybe a quarter of the way down the tunnel, and we were coming back, and I thought I had seen someone standing there at the end of the tunnel. I thought it was one of the guys that we were with. Walk out of the tunnel, there's nobody there, and as soon as I realized there was nobody there, I instantly started going into investigation mode and ask everybody that we were with who was standing in front of the tunnel. Half of the group was in the tunnel with me, and the other half was on the other side of the railroad taking pictures. And when I had experienced that is when the picture of the legs was found.
Interesting.
Wow.
So when you wrapped up this investigation, I'm sure you guys did some EVPs. Did you find any EVPs in this location?
We did not get any EVPs.
Not from this one.
No good EVPs, at
Yeah.
least. Nothing you could
But
actually...
I mean, you did have some picture evidence, so I mean, that's...
Yeah.
A lot of times people get EVPs, no pictures, but
That-
that's kind of interesting.
For me, like, I felt like that place was more of a bust than it was a actual...
You didn't really feel, you didn't get much out of
I
that one?
didn't, but like I said, I'm pessimistic.
Yeah.
So, Jarrod, what was the first place that... moving on from the DeMossville tunnels, what was the first place you
Hayeswood.
had?
Hayeswood is that was interesting.
Maysville, Kentucky.
So what happened to you in Hayeswood Hospital?
Well, that's when we decided to invest in more cameras. Make sure we had plenty of batteries this time. We had all of our equipment ready to go. And that's just because, I mean, there's so much history of this place being haunted. We knew like this was going to be good.
And this place is huge, right? I
It's
mean,
4
you have multiple
stories.
floors.
The old Maysville Hospital where,
Yeah.
like that's where everybody in Maysville went.
So obviously a hospital is going to have deaths because every hospital has
Right.
deaths.
Definitely.
Maternity wards.
I mean,
like,
it's not like it's Waverly Hills where there was, a sanatorium where people went to die, but there's just natural death there and trauma and things like that.
Yeah, and the first place we, I guess, fortunately got to find was the morgue, where there were
body-sized freezers, basically.
body coolers,
Yeah.
still intact. They're stainless steel, so they're going to last forever. And
Well, before we get into the morgue, before you even walk into this place, because in your investigations, how many investigations before you get here have you done at this point?
3 or 4.
Yeah.
So this is like your 4th time in.
Yeah.
You're still kind of rookies a little
Yeah.
bit, right?
Oh, yeah.
So you come up on this abandoned hospital because they built a new one, and this one's just kind of standing there. The city hasn't tore it down yet. And you're looking at it for the first time, and your group is looking at it for the first time. What's your first thoughts and feelings of looking at this place? Were you creeped out by it?
I fell in love with it. I was
I want to make this my home? Or
Yeah.
no,
or
I
fell
just
in love with it?
something awesome's got to
Like,
be.
this
in
is
here,
this is perfect.
Yeah.
We need to get in here.
So
you stand.
felt like there was going to be...
Yeah, you stand
spiritual
outside this place and you just
You know.
feel it. You just look up, just
Yeah.
waiting for something to peer at you outside the windows, or inside the windows.
The interesting part, especially for people who believe in spirits, believe in ghosts, most of the time they're wanting to run away from it.
Mm-hmm.
What actually makes you want to run towards it?
Just knowing, just experiencing the unknown, trying to just find stuff out that people just don't understand. I don't understand it.
So you guys saw this huge hospital, this abandoned hospital, the creepy feelings are happening. and it's excitement time.
Yeah.
Let's go, go, go.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Everybody believes in, like, not everybody will admit to believing and like something happens in the afterlife, but even like the most pessimistic person will freak out if they think, there's ghosts out there.
Yeah, definitely.
Mhm.
Definitely.
Everybody's actually scared of it, and
Yeah.
So, a lot of paranormal researchers, they talk about 2 different types of hauntings. Well, actually 3 different types of hauntings. You have the demon hauntings.
Yeah.
But we'll talk about that some other time, because I think you actually have a story, and we actually brought you up on our podcast.
Yeah.
Our very first episode, we brought up an attachment issue that you may have had. And, but the other 2 are
The
traumatic, residual from
Yeah.
traumatic, incidences where they just kind of like live, and it's a time loop, and those events just kind of stay in that location. And then true, they
Intelligence.
didn't pass on hauntings.
Mm-hmm.
So when you walk into this hospital, how, and some of the experiences you've had, and we'll talk about your experiences in a second, but did you feel like it was residual? Did you feel like it was intelligent? Did you get some EVPs to say it's intelligent?
I feel like some people felt like they didn't move on from that place, like they were just stuck there in that moment.
So you feel it was intelligent?
No, I feel like that's more of a residual
Yeah.
haunting,
Yeah.
like they're just going over and over and over
Yeah.
again, right?
I think
They were just there,
Yeah,
going like it was just
a normal day.
Yeah, I think it was more residual there as well, because we really didn't get any EVPs answering our questions, but we did see some things.
There was a lot of anytime we turned a camera on in a place like we felt was a good place, the battery just got drained.
So that's
killed it, and
like
we
you were
go to
talking
a
about
different
in
area.
the
Body coolers
in the morgue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you had an experience, Jarrod, in the morgue, right?
Yeah, well, I got scratched my neck got scratched the hell out of, and while I was in there,
Now,
it was a brand new
Did you feel it as it happened?
No, I didn't notice it till after I got out.
Oh, that's scary.
He actually crawled into this cooler.
You crawled into the cooler, into
Yeah,
the
I just-
body cooler.
Yeah, I figured
cooler.
that'd be a good place to experiment with
record,
the
yeah.
equipment.
Jared's the one that just goes head first into everything.
Yeah, he's our guinea pig.
Is that a train coming? Run as fast as you can. So while in the cooler, you have this camera, brand new camera, brand new battery, fully
brand new
charged.
batteries.
right?
Mhm.
Like as soon as I get in there, turn it on. Like I start recording. 5 seconds, it's drained.
It's gone.
Wow.
That's, and I'm laying there for a few seconds. And then I finally get out of the dang body cooler.
Now, did you get out because the camera said
No,
I'm done?
and it's like, well, what else do I do here now? I can't taunt it anymore. But I get out and we start messing around with the camera. It comes back on, and then
So the camera came back on.
and then I start to notice what's going on back here on the back of my neck? What's these scratches doing here?
Wow. So something really just did not want you in there.
I don't think so, really.
Yeah.
So when the camera came back on, what did the battery read?
Oh, it was full.
Full.
Again.
So it was full. So it decided to just die,
Yeah.
Mhm.
but then was suddenly able to operate again outside of that.
Yeah.
And you had scratches. Now, did the scratches, was it one single scratch? Did it look like, like you caught yourself
It was
on
a couple.
nail?
It was a
Or
couple.
was it like fingernail scratches or?
What did it look like?
It just looked like one big scratch and then like a little one, kind of. It was just a scratch on the back of his neck.
So it could have been a nail that he brought
Maybe.
again?
Maybe. I mean, that could have happened.
But you seem like you would feel a nail if you really.
Yeah, I didn't
Right.
notice it when I was in there. I really didn't.
Yeah.
I was more interested in getting.
Out of there?
Well, I was wanting some film footage. That's what I
Yeah.
wanted. But that didn't
It was
happen.
dead until we got out.
So what happened next?
Well, we explored a little bit more throughout the hallways.
We split up
and-
into 2 groups.
Yeah.
So some of us checked the upstairs, and some of them stayed downstairs.
Yeah.
There was a maternity ward we went to.
Yeah.
Any experiences in the maternity ward? Because I would
Just-
think that there could be residual things in there because of the traumas with babies. But...
Right. Not really. I mean, just heaviness and just, just kind of looking over
Where
your
was
shoulder.
the area where we
So you
picked up
had
a
a feeling
picture
of creepiness?
of somebody leaning on the
That was
in the
caught.
reception area?
That was caught in the children's ward.
So you're in the children's ward now.
Yes.
And
We were taking pictures and
Yeah,
camera
this was
footage.
video.
Yeah.
This was video, and the building is in decay. This hallway was, it had all kinds of boards and ceiling and
Asbestos.
yeah.
That is one thing I want to apologize for interrupting, but if there's anyone out there listening to this that is wanting to investigate some of these places,
You got to be prepared.
yeah, go in prepared. Wear, your protection and stuff like that, because there is a lot of asbestos and, a lot of
broken
nails
glass.
and
Yes.
stuff like that. So, I mean, these places that you're going into are not the cleanest places in the
Nope.
world. They're not, it's not like walking into your
Do your
house.
homework.
And, yeah,
Do your homework.
do your homework. Exactly.
We've had a
Yeah.
guy get spider bites and
Yeah.
ruined his week.
Yeah, it took him, made him sick for a week.
That was at Hazewoods too.
Yeah.
I'll say they actually ran into a nest of spiders or something along.
Something got, yeah, it was, some of this hospital where we walked in, the pretty much the outside was growing on the inside. There were,
Yeah.
was
so it looked like something out of a post-apocalyptic movie, basically.
it really
Yeah.
did, honestly. Like if you,
It was inside the building, but it was like where the ambulance would pass through
Yeah.
yeah,
the middle of it. Like you
Yeah.
had one side of the building here, one side of the building there, and then a
a
bridge.
skywalk.
Yeah, the skywalk.
Yeah, but it was just the nature was taking over pretty much. That it was just in decay.
So back to the children's ward, though.
Right.
So you were taking pictures, and during these pictures, you catch something.
Yeah, well, we were video recording,
right, sorry.
and we had kind of, I guess, figured that where we caught this shadow, it looked to be a receptionist desk. It had like little, I guess, cubicles where the receptionist would have sat, and then, as a patient, you would come over to the one side and do whatever paperwork you had to do. That's what it looked like to us. And,
Wow.
we were video recording, and when we went back and did the footage over, it looked like a shadow figure just leaning on the counter, just like he was getting checked in.
Now, when you say shadow figure, is this like, you obviously, if it's a figure, you can make out it's a human figure, but was there all black? Was there any features to it, or was it just, like...
You could tell it was humanoid. There's a head, shoulders, it looked like a really dark shadow.
And it was just leaning on the desk,
Just
like he was checking in?
just
or
as if
checking
he
in
was
with whoever's
checking
standing
in.
there?
Yep.
Then was the shape a child? Because it was a child's ward, but
It was more adult.
Yeah,
it was tall.
Like somebody who might have worked there.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, it
Now, what type of equipment besides cameras and video equipment were you using at the hospital?
We were using the EVPs, the Ovilus.
Anything? Did you catch anything on the Ovilus?
I don't think we did. Nothing
So
significant.
Nothing that-
no Ovilus.
there was things like one person might have found to be significant. I never thought it
Yeah.
was significant
what
myself.
was it they found that might be significant? Was it like
Just you ask questions, and like when you're using one of those devices, like it's white noise. So
now? I know the Ovilus because there's different white noise machines and there's different ghost talk machines. I
Yeah,
guess is what
talk
they call
box.
them.
That's
Talk
what I
boxes.
yeah,
yes.
that's what I thought.
So not everybody buys into that. Have you had any success at any of the locations with it?
Boyd, I've had
Yeah.
them call my name out.
Okay, let's not go to
I was
Boyd
going
yet.
to say, Boyd is the big,
Well,
the
Yeah.
big
that's
one.
good to know.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that when we get there.
Yeah.
Any other? No EVPs. No. You had video evidence.
Mm-hmm.
You had personal evidence. You
Yeah.
had some sort of electrical malfunctions with the equipment while you were there.
Oh,
Any other
yeah.
personal experiences besides the scratches and
Well, down by
from any of the team members?
down in the morgue area, when we pretty much first got there, we were exploring the hallways, just trying to see where everything was. I got some pretty significant growls in my ear. And
Growls? Like dog growls or like a human growl?
Like it sounded, I don't know if it was human, but it definitely wasn't a dog. It was just
So
like
that almost sounds like something evil in that respect,
Now-
or a demon.
Did you hear these growls? Like, were you the only person who heard the growls? Anybody else
I
hear
was the only person that heard the growls because as soon as I heard them, I turned around and asked, "Did you guys hear that?"
So
Wow.
now, when you heard the growls,
now things are starting to move around in our room now.
when you heard these growls, does it sound like it's someone like right in your ear? Or was it like they were like behind you, or was it at a distance? Like
It was behind me, but very, very, very close. Like they were.
so, obviously you stopped and took notice.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So did the hair raise up on the back of your neck?
It startled me. It did because it was loud enough for me that I figured everyone would have heard it, but no one else heard it. And it happened twice.
At the same time, or different times?
In the same hallway, but at different times.
Interesting, and only to you.
Only to me.
See, I'm coming to this realization that maybe she needs to have mediumship classes.
Yeah,
She needs to hone her skills.
possibly.
So, anything else happen at the hospital?
No, just some creepy vibes.
Nobody else?
It was just beautiful scenery, beautiful building. It was just fun to explore, honestly.
So after you left this hospital, Jarrod, because this is your fourth time, and this was probably the most significant time for you of seeing or feeling or having anything happen to you as a skeptic, correct?
Yeah.
So were you still skeptical after leaving here? Were you a little bit more open-minded at this point, or?
I've never been skeptical like on it as a whole, but I always go in skeptical to every place because one person might say this place is haunted, and
You don't want to be poisoned or
You're just
or get
cautious.
some sort of
Right.
yeah, it's like I'm always skeptical about what one says is haunted.
Right.
Like I don't think, but
some people think every place is haunted.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But with Hazewoods, yeah, there's a lot of history there, and I definitely felt there was something there.
You just feel the presence. You can.
Then, like later on, finding out all the other stuff I've found out, I definitely
What other stuff?
Well,
You
the
can't
other
just say that and then leave it open for everybody.
the other places we've been.
Oh, so you're
yeah.
comparing it to places.
Yeah.
Like eventually, after the further down, you start looking back at that place, like, you know what? Maybe I wasn't an idiot for thinking that. Like,
Well, I know earlier we talked, prior to the podcast to kind of get an idea of some of the things you guys have done. So one of the things we talked about is I asked you, like, in X amount of investigations, how many places have you actually felt like you caught something? And it was about 1 in 4 is what you said.
Right.
So 1 in 4, you might have got an EVP or a personal experience, not necessarily something definitive. But in 1 in 4, you caught something.
Right.
So in 3 of the places out of the 4 that you investigated, there was nothing to be found. Just something to be explained away as normal.
Yeah.
Yeah, any skeptic that just didn't want to believe, they could excuse it away if they really wanted to. But there's been a few places so far that we've been where
Yeah.
it's just...
But like you were saying, that was 1 in 4. Very few places.
So now, Boyd, obviously, we've talked about, and you said was the most active place that you've been. Is that correct?
Most active and most investigative. We've been there numerous times.
Like, once you found out the history of the house, like, just made it even more...
What's the history of the house?
Well,
back in the late 80s, early 90s, there was a lot of human trafficking and methamphetamine.
That's awful.
Creation going on down there.
And we were also told...
the woman, the wife of the man, she's in an insane asylum right now.
Yeah, she's in the
the woman that was in the house is actually in an insane asylum.
There was
right
a
now.
book I wanted to steal from the house because it was The Life
steal,
of
he means
Caesar.
borrow.
we don't
steal.
The Life of Caesar, and she had written some poems in it.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
And it was actually to her daughter that was deceased.
yeah.
And we had actually found out after he had read this poem to the deceased daughter that this daughter was a baby and had died from malnutrition. This woman had thought her children were possessed and kept them locked away.
There
Just
was
keep
so
them
many
safe.
hooks hanging from the ceiling.
I'm sorry, did you say what?
There,
Hooks?
yes,
Hooks hanging
yes.
from the ceiling.
There
What
were
kind of hooks are we talking about? Because,
Hooks.
immediately I think of meat hooks, and I'm hoping that's not what
Not
we're talking
meat
about.
hooks.
not
They were
meat
just,
hooks, but
like, just hooks.
Like flower hooks? Like you'd hang a flower
possibly we don't know that. I mean, we don't know
They were
what was
just
hanging
hooks.
from the
I don't-
hooks, but
Yeah.
So we're dealing with these large
And
hooks
the bed
from the
upstairs
ceilings.
too
was
had bolted to
bolted
the floor.
to the floor,
And there was chains.
and
Oh, wow.
and
Possibly from the human trafficking. Maybe?
Yeah,
possibly.
that's what
Yeah, well, I
was-
mean,
after
this
I
is what
found
we were
out, it's like,
told.
well,
Yes,
that's obviously what was happening.
and
So you walk. First of all, you get to this location, right? And
Mhm.
First time we ever got there. Like,
what do you take as you pull up to this place? What's the first thing you see? What's the first thing you feel? Like, was it something immediately that you immediately just felt nauseous?
I'm always all about it. Our friend that was with us, he's not here with us tonight, obviously, but he wanted to go through the basement first, and while he was down there, he immediately began feeling nauseous, had to come out of there.
yeah,
Really?
So then we went through the living room door, which connected to the kitchen of the house.
Now the power is no longer on at this
Yeah,
point.
no,
No.
there's no power.
So there's nothing that can cause EMF,
No.
which
And this-
can obviously make EMF radiation can actually
Yeah.
cause
Yeah,
you
make
to
you
see
nauseous,
and
make
do
you-
yeah.
things as
And this
well.
place was so far out in the country that I don't even think there were really any power lines near it.
Hmm.
So it was just abandoned for many, many, many
so
years.
he's down in the basement. He's feeling nauseated from the basement. He makes his way back up. Now, where did you go from that point?
Oh, I was all about getting in there. I had to get
Well,
in there.
the first,
Again, Jarrod going head first into something.
Yeah.
He's never seen the Texas Chainsaw.
no, and this house could be the house. It really could.
As soon as you walk through the door, though, there's crucifixes everywhere. Really religious material just
prayers,
everywhere.
Jesus,
Like,
That
pictures.
sounds really strange considering that what you told me. Like it's a human trafficking meth lab place.
Yeah, yeah.
And then we
it
got-
sounds like we're
No,
back in
yeah.
the Linda Blair Exorcist
Yeah.
house, or
And then you
The
start,
Conjuring 2 or
like,
something.
there
I
were
don't
still
know.
pictures of the family that
Yeah.
we just left.
The couch was still
the
there.
last family in there. The pictures
Yeah.
are on the wall.
Pictures
Wow.
of the family still of all the kids.
You could tell they were late 80s, early 90s
Mhm.
family.
File cabinet of prescriptions and
There was a few.
Prescriptions are still there. too?
prescriptions and just
There was some
sensitive
cool
material
knickknacks
that
I
people
wanted
would
to
not.
take out of there, but nobody else would
Yeah,
let me. Not even the
not
ghost.
from this place. Yes.
on the Oculus, like there was a point where I'm asking, "Can I have this train?" It was a ceramic train set,
Yeah.
and it starts telling me no.
It said
Really?
exactly what it said was put it back.
Yeah,
Wow.
Put it back.
The ovulus
The ovulus. Now,
actually formed
yes,
put it
and
back.
this machine rarely.
works, obviously.
Yeah, it rarely forms sentences. We may get a word or two out of it.
there was a time
Rarely.
before I was trying to. Like, there was one door that was open, but when we first got there, I was trying to kick in this other door.
Yeah, we were trying to get in, and before we got into the open door that went to the living room, he was trying to open up the side door.
Which was stuck.
Yes, and again the ovulus formed a full sentence. It said, "Jarrod, get away from door."
It actually used his name.
Yes.
Yeah, that was weird.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So you were definitely dealing with an intelligence
Yes. This was
haunting
intelligent.
at the Boyd house.
Yeah,
Yes.
and
Yes.
I don't like to use the term breaking in, but there was a locked door that went upstairs
Yes. And
while we were trying.
while we were investigating,
There
and we had
was
opened
another
the door.
door. There was another door.
Mm-hmm. There were two doors. Now, mind you, this house, the inside, every door on the inside was padlocked shut,
Or seized shut.
or the windows were boarded up on the inside and stuff like that. So we had opened up a couple doors on the inside to get to other rooms.
My guess would be that the padlocks were to keep people from escaping who were probably being trafficked.
Maybe. I don't know. But we had opened up a couple doors on the inside because we wanted to investigate further.
But there was one door that wasn't exactly locked. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, we're all just standing around there, like figuring out, well, what do we do?
Yeah, we were getting EMF readings and stuff like that.
And all of a sudden, this door it was seized open before. We had to try and open it before to see what was in there. We slammed it shut. No, it just opened up all on its own.
Just
nice
opened
and
up
slow.
by itself.
After you guys have really tried opening this thing.
Yeah.
And really it's stuck. You're not getting it open.
Well, what it was is that...
is this the same door that said, Jarrod, leave the door alone?
No. This is a different door.
Inside door.
It was on the inside, and it's a really old house. And it was like a, I guess, a storage space, like a little crawl space kind of thing. It was underneath the stairs. So it was just a little door underneath the stairs. And it was...
Well, that's creepy in all of it.
It was already creepy as is, yes. But we had to make it
Jarrod crawl in there
creepier.
because he likes to crawl into small
No,
spaces?
he didn't crawl into that one. But it was old, and it was wedged shut pretty tight. And we had opened it, checked it out, shut it just as tight as it was before. And we went all about our business. Did some EVP sessions, didn't get anything. Did some EMF, tried to see what we could get, and it just opened. Just out of nowhere. And me and 3 other witnesses just sat there and watched it go.
And we've listened to it, but we do have an EMF from this
EVP.
I'm
So
sorry.
is this the location you caught that EVP?
Yeah.
Yes.
So you hadn't yet caught any EVPs. So you're still going through this investigation. At this point, right?
We hadn't caught any significant EVPs.
It wasn't
So
until
after the door opens, right? Is when you're
it wasn't until we were about to leave. We thought we hadn't found anything.
Yeah, we were getting tired.
We were recording the whole time. And,
so explain the EVP that we're about to listen to, exactly what's happening and why you're asking the things you're asking and things like that.
Well, we did some investigations around the house. Wasn't really getting anything. We'd get some EMF.
Went upstairs too.
We'd get some EMF readings, but that was pretty much it. It wasn't responding to us. We weren't really feeling anything anymore. Mm-hmm. So we were about to leave, and this is when we did this. We always say, we're about to leave. Do you have anything else to say? Speak now, pretty much. We're about to go now. Bye. And sometimes we do get stuff, like this instance.
But it was silent the whole time we were there.
Yeah.
Questions were asked, but everybody was being quiet unless you were the one asking the question.
We'd get a couple EMF spikes, but nothing.
It wasn't until later on, after we left the premise, that we started listening to the recordings.
Yeah, we had no idea we even had this until after.
And like I said.
So let me go ahead and pop this in here and play it. So we're going to play the EVP that they captured. And I do believe in the EVP, she does ask, was it you that opened the door? Which is the door you're talking about that you saw open. Is that correct?
Yes.
And then you can clearly hear an answer from whatever is there.
Yeah, whatever.
All right, so we're going to play that right now.
We're fixing to leave. Yes. Did you open the door earlier by yourself? Yes.
Let's hear that one more time.
Did you open the door earlier by yourself? Yes.
And so no one was standing there whispering yes, right?
No.
It was complete silence.
We were completely silent.
Because I've heard a lot of EVPs, and I've heard some clear ones, but man, that is pretty spot on.
That was the scary thing.
Yes.
Because
yeah.
we were all, we already knew what we were doing. All right, we're going to ask it some questions. In between questions, say nothing.
Silence, yeah.
Yeah, everybody was agreed to those rules.
So,
and we
already before you even get to this point where you catch this EVP on the way out the door, you've been called out by name on a box.
It wasn't responding at this point. Like the obvious it wasn't responding.
Actually, no, at this point, it was off.
Yeah.
It was completely off. The only thing we had going was the EMF detector, and it wasn't doing anything for us anyway.
But you never caught an EVP the whole time. But the obvious, you caught that message where it basically said your name and leave the door alone.
Yeah.
I mean, most people might be wanting to walk out when they've been called by name by some mysterious force.
We went in deeper.
Obviously.
Yeah.
So after you finally got a chance and you heard this audio, how did you feel about that location then? I mean, obviously you had some experiences, some good ones.
I wanted to go back.
Yeah, we wanted to go right back, but it was like 4 a.m.
And the last time we went there, we weren't allowed there.
Yeah.
And it was boarded up, shut down.
So now you won't ever get to really investigate it again.
Not
legally.
No, but we actually didn't even get the CVP. We didn't even hear the CVP, I should say, until we were driving back home.
Just listening to our recordings.
Yeah. My friend Megan was the one of them that was with us. She was listening to some recordings while we were driving back, and that came through, and she instantly just was like, "Oh my gosh!" You listen to this, and I heard it, and I stopped the car immediately, and
Now, when you were playing this for me earlier, you were still getting cold chills.
I was, yes, because I know it wasn't any of us. I know
some of our friends that would usually go on these ghost trips with us.
Yeah,
they're more pessimistic than I am, and they tried thinking like, "Oh, that had to be so and
that
so."
had to be somebody. You're messing with us.
No, there wasn't. No,
and they can disbelief all they want, but I know what happened. We were all there, and that's not any of our voices. I mean, I know what we all sound like, and that wasn't any of us.
That is pretty creepy.
It's very creepy, and just to know that, I don't know, it's almost sad in a way of knowing that there is something that is that intelligent still hanging around that, hasn't moved on.
Yeah.
But, wow.
So, you leave this house, you catch a CVP, you go home, you're pretty amazed. Friends aren't believing you because they just think it's somebody else.
Right, yeah.
So, I mean, this is the juxtaposition of being a ghost hunter as you catch evidence and everybody tries to say, well, it's this or it's that or it's not. And,
right.
They weren't there, so they don't really feel it.
That's what's so frustrating about it.
Well, that's why we always invite anybody who's willing to come along.
Yeah.
Like, if you want to, sometimes we might not find anything in some of these places we go to.
Right.
Actually, most of the places you go to, you don't find anything, which...
Right.
But if you did, that would take away your credence. And your credit.
you can't just go to the same place just once. Like, you gotta go there once, twice.
One night, it'll be nothing. The next night, it'll be an explosion of everything.
A lot of times I've found, like, full moons, like, seem to bring out...
I
don't know what it has to do with the full moon, but...
Yes.
Sometimes the full moon, like...
He brings out all the creepy
This
crawlies.
CVP was caught when it was a full moon. And it just had... This night was just...
Very
something.
active.
Yes.
I mean, calling people out by name.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we were talking about it before, how you were saying that the railroad is an active railroad.
Yeah.
And that of course can, create energy and things like that.
Energy,
my understanding is that if something's near running water
as well,
Was this house near water, or?
More than likely it was in Pendleton County, and there's a river usually somewhere close by.
I'm sure there was one somewhere by, but there wasn't
Not
one right
close
next
enough
to it.
Like really
no,
think about it as a possibility.
No.
So there was 4 places. What's the 4th place that you really had some activity in?
Let's see here.
Now, obviously, Boyd was the most active.
I would have to say probably it was the Morgan Cemetery, which I had some personal experiences there.
Tell us about that.
Well, it was a longtime friend of mine who led us to his grave.
Yeah, we were led to a
R.I.P. Brad said.
Yeah. We were led to a grave of somebody that we all knew.
When you say led to a grave, what do you mean by led to a grave?
It was actually giving us left, right,
So
straight.
The
and we followed it until we...
The ovulus was?
Yes, the
I've
obulus.
never
Wow.
been to... Like, I wasn't at his funeral. Like, I'm a shitty friend, apparently. Like, I didn't... But, well, once he passed away, like, we were good friends before he died, and it was the first time I was ever at the cemetery where he was buried, and
and you have this box
yeah,
that's telling you where to go,
Yep.
and it leads you to a grave of someone you know.
Straight to
and
it,
if you ever try to
Wow.
like find someone's headstone in the dark,
Yeah, it's not very
It's
easy.
hard enough to find a headstone in
Yeah.
light.
Yeah.
It was complete darkness. We may have had 1-2 flashlights.
So do you believe this was him?
yeah. Like, because
Maybe
once we
give
got
us
there,
a
we
final
were
goodbye to you, maybe?
able to have like slight conversations, not complete full conversations.
Nothing
with him.
calling you out by your name.
No,
No.
not that time. But like, we were able to communicate with him, especially once we got to his headstone.
And I actually have
Wow.
another place I completely forgot about. It's another cemetery. Was it Butler Cemetery?
Butler Cemetery. With
Yeah, we were
I'm searching for the pagan witch.
We were searching for what we were told was a witch's grave. And I'm not sure if they're witches or not, but we found what was where we were told to go to find it. And there were some markings on the graves, but we're not sure if they're actual witches or not. But anyway, we got some names off the obulus and the talk box, and the names of the women that were actually on the tombstones, the names of the women.
Came up on the ovulus?
Came up on the ovulus, yes. And me and another girl saw glowing orbs right over the graves. So...
Now, why do you say that it was supposed to be witches?
Well,
he had a prior experience.
I had a prior experience. I have no proof of that experience, so I don't like to talk about it a whole lot. But the first time I'd ever been there, I had a pagan friend. We went there. At the time when we went there, we didn't even know the place existed. Like, she was just wanting to like practice her religion out there, and in doing so, she led us to this tombstone site with pentagrams on it. And
Now, pentagrams, are they engraved pentagrams on the stones? Or
were
are they just...
they were engraved on the main tombstone, and then like the headstones of the other witches. That's what I'm guessing they were. The headstones,
A pagan of some sort.
Yeah.
like all were in points of a pentagram, and there was only one that wasn't filled in yet. Like the name wasn't on it.
Like it was just a marker for her.
It was
For when she
was
died.
Somebody may still be living?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure she's dead now.
Yeah.
Huh.
Wow.
So, obviously, I mean, did your friend discover this, or was this just someplace she felt comfortable because she heard herself as a pagan, so she felt comfortable there?
Yeah, but at the time, I don't think she knew it was there, because once we got there,
So she just kind of discovered it also.
yeah.
Yeah. So we had tried to find it by her directions and, memory, but that was a long time ago for Jarrod. So we tried to find this place and we thought we had found it, but even if it wasn't the same gravesite, we still got some activity from it.
And that's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
So, of all your investigations, those have been your most active investigations, and you've had some really cool ones. Like I've never had an experience with using the ovulus. All I can tell you is if one called me out by name, I'd probably turn it off, throw it away. I'm just saying, especially if it was that in a situation where it was that creepy. But that's a pretty interesting ghost hunting tool. So like I said before, some people don't buy it, but obviously you all had a few experiences. Most of the time, you don't have any experiences with it, but you had two really significant experiences.
Yeah.
One was when it called you out by name and actually made full sentences and just not words.
Right.
And then the second time was when it gave you right, left, straight directions to your friend's grave. I mean, that is pretty amazing.
And I think really, I want to go more abroad myself and try to dial in the correct way to use this equipment.
Yeah,
myself.
we're still amateurs about
Yeah,
it, you know. But
we get lucky here and there.
I don't know if
Yeah.
anyone can really consider themselves experts at, something that is so unknown.
Well,
I mean, the only thing you can do is like you watch TV, you see these ghost hunters.
Yeah.
I mean, you got some famous people who are ghost hunting.
yeah.
And basically, they just have people who do the research, they do the legwork, they get the rights, they go in, they do their thing, and it's all a bunch of background work before you even get to do the investigation.
That is a lot of it.
Yeah.
Before you go into places, you got to do a little
That's
research.
probably the
for it.
hardest part about it is trying to get some research and just finding some places to go, because we've been to so many places now that in northern Kentucky that we're kind of running out.
It's time to branch out.
Yeah, yeah. Get
So,
some.
you know, we're going to
more
be
broad.
Exactly. You got to go on further out. So we're going to wrap this up a little bit here on the Dragon's Nest. I do have one more story. Karen and Samantha actually have a story about an experience that they had at Karen's mom's house.
So Samantha and I've had multiple experiences in our life. There have been ones where she was seeing shadow figures at her place.
Yeah.
And I went in to try to take pictures and my phone went dead.
Yeah, I remember that, yeah.
And I couldn't get my phone to turn back on, so I just figured it had died. I got out to the car and the phone came back on.
Yeah.
And without rhyme or reason. We actually went to Cynthiana for the ghost walk
Yeah.
one point in
I forgot
time.
about that.
And I am sitting in an area, Samantha is sitting next to me, burning up. She's
Yeah.
sweating. It's really hot
It's an
inside
old
this room.
building, yeah.
And I'm freezing.
Yeah.
I am absolutely
She keeps
freezing.
saying, "Are you cold? Are you cold?"
And I'm absolutely freezing. When we get up and we take pictures of the room, you can actually see what looks like a white mist
Yeah.
in the chair that I was sitting. So that was another one that we experienced. One of the most probably clear things was at my mom's, Samantha's grandmother's house. Was my mom's husband had passed away, and it had been a few years after he passed away, I believe. But we're sitting in the kitchen dining room area, and then suddenly we see a face just look around the corner
Yeah.
at us, clear as day, like it would be anyone just looking. And I kind of thought I imagined it for a second until Samantha turned around and looked at me, and we kind of looked at each other like, "Did you see that?" Yeah.
Yeah.
And we both saw the same person that had passed away.
And that was a simultaneous experience.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you both visualized it.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. I mean, she turned around instantly and looked at me like, Did you see that?
We can explain it to the exact detail, and it'll be the exact same story.
I mean, I even walked around and looked up the stairs to
Yeah.
try to see if somebody was playing a trick on us
It
or
was a
something, and
split
no one
second,
was
but-
there.
Yeah.
But yeah, we both saw the exact same thing, experienced those kind of things together. And even growing up in the house that I grew up in, there were times where Samantha would talk about seeing an old woman and talking about the old woman in the chair. We would hear creaks up and down the hallways. My garage door would open by itself and close on its own. Just little, it was nothing that ever hurt us or harmed us or made us feel scared.
It was just a bad garage door.
It was a bad garage door. And so but we made a joke out of it, and we would just, "Come on in, Bob." And it got to the point where Samantha, being as little as she was at that time, would be like, "Come on in, Bob." It just became a matter of just being natural, and it's not really scary to any of us.
So basically, growing up on these paranormal events have shaped your lives tremendously.
Yeah. It's definitely something I want to keep on doing throughout my life now.
Well, Samantha and Jarrod, I do appreciate you coming over to the podcast and coming over
I
here and
appreciate
sitting
y'all
in with the
having
Nest.
us.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
And hopefully we'll have you back on, and you'll have some more investigations that you can share, or maybe you'll just want to co-host with us for some other programming.
Yeah,
Oh,
well,
yeah, we'll definitely be
we
here.
definitely want to investigate more, but sadly, our group has not been going out
We've split up a little bit.
as much
For
as
now.
we'd like to. So, if any paranormal groups out there that are listening to this right now need a couple extra hands, please let us know.
Definitely. We're always. I think all of us are ready to jump on.
Because
and
I could do this
go
every
investigate.
night. I could do this every day, every night. I love it.
That's all the time we have for this episode. As always, we thank you for listening to The Dragon's Nest. Please follow us on social media, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Dragon's Nest PC. That's Dragons with an S, Nest PC for podcast. We are on YouTube, so please like, subscribe, and hit that bell. You can listen and follow us on your favorite podcast platforms such as Spotify, Stitcher, TuneIn, Google, iTunes, and at our host site, SoundCloud. To search for us, just search The Dragon's Nest. That's the THE, Dragons with an S, Nest. If you would like to share a story with us or have ideas you'd like to hear in a future show, please send an email to thedragonsnest@outlook.com or call and leave us your story at 513-549-3049. Again, thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time
Inside the Dragon's Nest.